Let's get started with our first news. Henry Cejudo believes Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria will be announced soon. In a recent episode of the Pound for Pound podcast, Henry Cejudo shared his thoughts on the potential matchup. He stated that he believes the UFC will announce a fight between Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev very soon. Cejudo argued that Topuria's recent performances, including knocking out two legends, Alexander Volkanovski and Max Holloway, should be enough to earn him a direct title shot at lightweight. However, if that doesn't happen, Cejudo mentioned that Topuria might have to take the contender route. Interestingly, the UFC reportedly offered Topuria a fight with Arman Tsarukyan, but his team declined. According to Cejudo, this decision was made because Tsarukyan is a tough, high-pressure fighter. Instead, Topuria's team is aiming straight for Makhachev. Cejudo also broke down the potential matchup, suggesting that if Makhachev doesn't secure an early takedown, things could get dangerous for him. He highlighted Topuria's striking, which isn't just powerful but also unpredictable. Topuria constantly switches levels, attacking both high and low, making it difficult for opponents to time counters or takedowns. Cejudo believes this is the fight the UFC wants to make. In his eyes, this matchup is the UFC's top priority in the lightweight division right now. With Makhachev running out of fresh challengers and Topuria being an undefeated champion with superstar potential, the timing makes perfect sense. Cejudo said, "I think he should fight Islam Makhachev. I really do. When you knock out two guys like that, two first ballot Hall of Famers, 100% he deserves it. But if he doesn't get the shot, he's gonna have to go the #1 contender route." Cejudo also pointed out that Topuria's team turned down the Tsarukyan fight because they want to take their chances against Makhachev. He added, "If Islam can't take Ilia down early, it could be very problematic for him." Cejudo also mentioned that Ramadan might play a role in the timing of this fight, as it ends in April. He speculated that the fight could take place in June, giving both fighters enough time to prepare. Moving on to another news, Leon Edwards wanted to fight Belal Muhammad. Initially, Jack Della Maddalena was moved from UFC London to UFC 315 for a title fight with Belal Muhammad. However, it turns out that Leon Edwards also reached out to the UFC about being moved to the May 10th card. Originally, JDM was scheduled to fight Edwards at the UFC's March 22nd event in England, but plans changed when top contender Shavkat Rakhmonov reportedly suffered an injury. With Rakhmonov unable to compete, the UFC decided to shift JDM to UFC 315 for a title fight against Muhammad instead. As a result, Sean Brady has now been tapped to fight Edwards in London. However, the former welterweight champion recently revealed that he made a strong push for a rematch with Belal. Edwards explained, "A couple of weeks before, I was in talks with the UFC. I was trying to step in to fight Belal, but I knew they had already sold London around me. So if they took me off the card and let Jack headline London, I would have a new opponent in Sean Brady. It should be good." It's clear that the UFC wasn't too eager to remove Edwards from the UFC London main event, given that he is one of the biggest stars in the UK and a well-known figure in the MMA world. The event was built around him, and moving him to UFC 315 would have left the London card without its biggest draw. However, another factor to consider is whether the UFC was even interested in booking an immediate rematch between Edwards and Muhammad. The last time they fought, Edwards was thoroughly outclassed, losing a one-sided decision to the now champion in July. Given how dominant Belal was in that fight, the UFC might have felt that an immediate rematch wasn't necessary. Still, Edwards is determined to make his way back to the title, and he isn't far from getting another shot. According to what he revealed in the interview, he's been informed that the winner of his bout with Brady will be next in line for the championship. That means if Edwards wins, he could be staring at a title shot in the near future. However, the timing could get complicated, especially if Rakhmonov recovers faster than expected. If Shavkat is ready to return soon, the UFC might decide to prioritize him over the winner of Edwards versus Brady, leaving them in a tough position. For now, Edwards will have to focus on getting past Brady, who is a tough and highly skilled opponent. A win would put him right back in the conversation for a shot at reclaiming UFC gold, but the road to another championship fight won't be easy. Next up, Paddy Pimblett doubles down on his call-out of Ilia Topuria. For a while, talks about a potential fight between Ilia Topuria and Paddy Pimblett had died down, but now that Topuria has vacated the featherweight crown and is making the move up to lightweight, tensions between these two stars are heating up again. The rivalry between Topuria and Pimblett goes back to 2022, when Pimblett made comments alluding to Russia's invasion of Georgia, taking a shot at fighters from the country. Topuria, who is of Georgian descent, did not take take kindly to the remarks. This led to a heated altercation at the Fighter Hotel ahead of a UFC event in London, where the two had to be separated. At that time, Topuria was still competing at featherweight, and since he went on to win the 145-pound belt, the possibility of a fight with Pimblett seemed unlikely. However, now that he is officially moving up to the lightweight division, the buzz surrounding a potential clash between the two has been revived. In a recent interview with TMZ Sports, Pimblett made it clear that he still wants to settle the score with Topuria. He said, "Ilia is, I don't know, he's a bit of a, it's a fight that I want to do. Ever since he tried to start on me in London, I've always wanted to beat him up. He's still talking about me in interviews, making lies up, so I'd love to batter that little. But it's more about the belt for me." Pimblett's words suggest that while he still has personal animosity towards Topuria, his focus is on securing a title shot. That being said, this rivalry is far from over, and with both fighters now competing in the same division, the chances of them eventually settling their differences inside the octagon have significantly increased. However, before any potential matchup between the two can be booked, a lot still needs to happen. First, Pimblett has a huge challenge ahead of him, as he is set to face former title challenger Michael Chandler at UFC 314 on April 12th. This will be the biggest test of his career so far, and if he wants to keep his momentum alive, he'll need to put on a strong performance. Meanwhile, Topuria is expected to either compete in the title eliminator or get an immediate shot at the lightweight champion, Islam Makhachev. If Topuria manages to win and claim the 155-pound belt, the stakes for a potential fight with Pimblett would become even higher. If both fighters emerge victorious in their respective bouts, a showdown between them could become a reality. With their history, the bad blood, and their growing star power, a fight between Pimblett and Topuria would be massive for the UFC. The only question is, will fate align for this grudge match to finally happen? In other news, Magomed Ankalaev sends a warning to Alex Pereira. We're less than 1 week away from UFC 313, and Ankalaev continues to fire verbal shots at Pereira. After going undefeated in 13 straight fights, Ankalaev has been tapped to face Pereira on March 8th. It's been a long road for the Dagestani light heavyweight. This time last year, there was plenty of buzz about Ankalaev fighting for the title next, especially after his KO win over Johnny Walker in January. However, Pereira went on to face and defeat Jamal Hill, Yuri Prochazka, and Khalil Roundtree instead. Meanwhile, Ankalaev wasn't called for a title shot until after his decision win over Alexander Rakic in October. Due to this long wait, Ankalaev has been taking jabs at Pereira on social media for months. With UFC 313 almost here, Ankalaev hasn't let up. He said, "Training camps are finished. Saturday night, I will change this guy's face. UFC 313. I'm looking for a finish from the first minute. He's a man walking. I'm going to drown this man." Some might point out a discrepancy in Ankalaev's warnings. In one post, he talks about hunting for a quick stoppage, while in another, he alludes to drowning Pereira, which suggests a drawn-out battle. Most fans believe Ankalaev will try to take Pereira down, but how this fight plays out remains to be seen. Ankalaev also revealed that he didn't want to fight during Ramadan, but felt forced to take the fight due to the UFC scheduling. He said, "Fighting during Ramadan is a problem, but we had no other choice because UFC 313 was left without a main event. I think it's not Alex's wish, it's the UFC's decision. The MMA community is demanding Dana White to make immediate changes to the gloves or find a real solution for eye pokes in the UFC." In back-to-back main events, fighters have suffered from eye pokes that altered the outcome of the fights. Last week, Henry Cejudo's fight was compromised due to an eye poke, and now Asu Almabay has lost to Manel Kape after suffering 2 consecutive eye pokes that the referee completely missed. Fans are outraged, and many are questioning why the UFC has yet to take action on this ongoing issue. One fan took to social media and said, "At this point, MMA gloves are about to be baking mitts. We need a big rule change, Dana." Another frustrated viewer added, "The UFC needs to bring back the old gloves or find a better solution. 2 main events in a row ended by eye pokes. This is unacceptable." Many others echoed the same sentiment, with some even calling it an embarrassment for the sport. A key point of discussion has been the UFC's choice of gloves. Some fans and experts believe that Pride-style gloves, which had a more natural curve to the fingers, could significantly reduce the frequency of eye pokes. Others have pointed out that Trevor Whitman, a highly respected coach, designed a pair of gloves specifically to help prevent these incidents. However, despite these options being available, the UFC has refused to make the switch, allegedly allegedly due to branding and cost concerns. Fans are growing increasingly impatient. The outrage isn't just about 1 or 2 fights. It's about the long-term safety of fighters. Many believe that it's only a matter of time before a fighter suffers permanent damage or even loses an eye inside the octagon. Some fans have bluntly stated, does someone have to go blind before the UFC takes this seriously? With the backlash reaching new heights, the pressure is now on Dana White and the UFC to finally address this issue before it leads to an irreversible tragedy inside the cage. Will they listen, or will more careers be put at risk? Finally, the MMA community is going off on Alex Pereira after he called out Magomed Ankalaev to place a $200,000 bet for charity ahead of their highly anticipated fight. The problem, Ankalaev is a devout Muslim, and betting is strictly forbidden in his religion. Making things even worse, Pereira issued this challenge during Ramadan, a sacred month of fasting and reflection for Muslims. Fans believe this wasn't just an innocent challenge, but a calculated move, and they are not happy about it. One fan didn't hold back, saying, asking a Muslim to bet during Ramadan is haram. What an idiot. Another blasted Pereira's decision, adding, Pereira is exuding nervous energy. He's never done this with previous opponents. This is just scummy behavior. The backlash has been intense, with many in the MMA community questioning Pereira's motives and calling him out for what they see as a deliberate attempt to put Ankalaev in a difficult position. Ankalaev, however, handled the situation with class. Instead of firing back with hostility, he simply responded, Salam alaikum, we will answer tomorrow. Ramadan Mubarak. His response was a clear indication that he was staying composed and respectful, despite the controversy swirling around him. But this isn't just about a single bet. Many fans are pointing out that this feels like a pattern with Pereira lately. Some believe he's been trying to gain favor with the public, with one fan saying, first it was the giving money to the homeless gimmick, and now this. Pereira is trying way too hard to look like the good guy. Another added, why is he suddenly making opponents bet money? Where was this energy when he fought Jamahal Hill or Gigi Prochaska? Others believe that Pereira might be feeling the pressure of this fight. Ankalaev is a dangerous opponent, and some fans think Pereira is trying to play mind games. This is just nervous energy from Pereira, one fan wrote. He knows Ankalaev is a threat, so he's trying to get inside his head. The situation has sparked a massive debate online. Was this just an innocent bet, or was it a calculated move to put Ankalaev in an uncomfortable spot? Either way, the fight just got a whole lot more personal. What do you think? Let us know in the comments below.